A very good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the Intellectual Property Summit 2026, a proud part of the AMA Management Fest. Our theme today, IP as a business asset, reminds us that intellectual property is nothing but more than a legal safeguard. It is the fuel that powers innovation, growth, and business value. The beauty of IP lies in the balance of it. It allows knowledge to illuminate many lives while protection ensures that the creator's spark is respected. As Thomas Jefferson once said, he who lights a stepper at mine receives light without darkening me. That is the essence of IP. It multiplies value when shared and strengthens businesses when protected. With that spirit, let us begin this summit and unlock the true power of intellectual property together. We are deeply honored to have with us Mr. Mohal Sarabhai, Vice President of AMA and Managing Director of Ambalal Sarabhai Enterprises Limited, whose leadership has been instrumental in advancing industry and management practices in Gujarat. His vision continues to inspire generations of professionals. Alongside him, we are delighted to have Mr. Jatin Trivedi, Managing Partner at YJ Trivedi and Company, Trustee at Global Board of TIE, and a seasoned lawyer, also admired as a mentor to young professionals, including me. May I now invite Mr. Sarabhai to address the gathering, followed by Mr. Jatin Trivedi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm part of the AMA team, so when you say invite, I feel like, so I'm already here. So anyway, good afternoon, everyone, and all the distinguished guests. This is great to see this crowd, industry leaders, innovators, I bet some students, members of AMA. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the Intellectual Property Summit 2026, organized by AMA at the YJ Trivedi Center, AMA Academy for Intellectual Property Rights, as per the AMA Management Festival 2026. The theme IP as a business asset captures the reality of modern enterprise. You are aware, I'm sure you must have seen in the morning, the AI Impact Summit is going on in New Delhi right now. And as we speak, currently itself, world leaders, top CEOs of tech companies are all present here in India looking to collaborate with India and collaborate with Indian companies. And when we hear all of them speak, you can see it also live on YouTube if you have missed it. One can realize that in the AI world and in this new world order, the most valuable assets are no longer physical, but they are intellectual. At this AI summit, investors are not looking for land or cheap labor, which has always been the case when we looked at India, while those are important, but instead they are measuring India and investing in India for our congenitive, our brains, our brain capacity. In today's economy, a company with no land, I was just mentioning to some of the guests who are there, a company with no land, no factory, no heavy machinery, and sometimes is sometimes worth more than like 100-year-old company because of intellectual property, and that has become the new capital. In the West, we look at like Meta or Facebook when they purchased Instagram, before Instagram became that popular in 2012. Instagram had 13 employees. It had no land, no physical assets, nothing. It just had intellectual property of the algorithm of Instagram. It had 13 employees, no sales, and Facebook purchased it for $1 billion US, 9,200 crores. So our startups can also dream of good valuations with proper IP protection. I was reading the Economics Times, in fact, just before I came, this is today's Economic Times, and there is this editorial section of this Galgotia University. You must have heard of this, that they claimed in the AI summit that they made this robot, and they made some changes, and they even branded it called Orion. instead of the whole thing. But the IP protection in our country is so strong that immediately the Chinese companies came and said, okay, boss, this is our IP. You guys have completely copied it. It embarrassed our country. It embarrassed the summit. But, you know, this is what happens. So in India also now with this, and the IP protection is very important, and nobody can sort of take it away, you know, from something that's IP protected. It gets to you. So during the last year's summit, I was here, Gopi Ben, thank you, and Devedi sir, you had invited me. During the last year's summit, I'd spoken about a reverse thing. I'd spoken that in 1970, because of the India's Patent Act at that time, on the pharmaceuticals, you could reverse engineer drugs, and therefore the whole Indian pharmaceutical industry was born. To make drugs affordable, you actually, Indian government said, don't follow the patents. So they changed it by saying the molecule is not patented, but you can change things in the middle, you can reverse engineer it, you can change the process, and you can reintroduce the drug. And that is why today India is the pharmacy to the world. Now we follow patents, but at that time, so patents has both effects. But today's world is completely different, and it needs a lot of awareness, because a lot of people, even people that we study, a lot of people, like even this Galgotia University that I mentioned, maybe they're not trying to cheat, and maybe they're just not aware that you can take someone's IP, make some changes. You can't claim it like it's your own. You can't just copy things, and you can't reverse engineer things and call it your own IP. The laws are protected here, and the laws are protected globally. This is very important. So in the next chapter, the chapter that we are in and all of us are getting into, patent itself is an asset, the product is secondary, and valuation is based on your future IP potential. I think this is what's important for all of us. The future balance sheets, it's not only land and buildings, but it's what our minds and our brains and our capacity, that is also be of value. I was talking that even as an entrepreneur, I myself have a startup company, and we have a very good IP. We have got very good people who are working on it. And that company, when it has no assets, it's difficult to get funding. Because the minute you go to the bank and you can give this whole great presentation, but then they say, "Acha, 3 saal ka balance sheet lao, aapka land kitna hai wo lao." This is this. We don't have all that. As a startup, you don't have that. So awareness is required, and that is why at AMA also we are having these summits. Awareness is required in all fronts. It's not only us and company owners and business leaders, but also within the whole industry at large. With this perspective, our first session is Future Ready Business Win on Ownership. That's our first session. It becomes extremely relevant as technology reshapes industries. Companies that invest in research, protect their innovations, and build strong patent portfolios will define the next decade. Ownership of technology is becoming the foundation of sustainable global leadership. That's our first session. The second session is protecting what sets your business apart. Protecting what sets your business apart. Reminds us that brands and reputation are powerful, intangible assets. Very true. Strong trademarks and brand protection are directly linked to trust, customer loyalty, and enterprise value. What differentiates a business must be carefully built and strategically safeguarded, exactly like the examples we give. So again, at AMA, we remain committed to creating platforms that encourage responsible leadership and forward-looking business. We wish this summit all the best, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Probably Darshi have missed while introducing the Mohal Sarabhai. Let me acknowledge his family contribution to the institute where we are sitting today. Without his grandfather contribution, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, whom we named with the very honor, he's a grandson of the Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, and big round of applause for the family Sarabhai for contributing to the cause. So, Mohal bhai, thank you very much on behalf of the AMA. Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly a pleasure of mine to welcome you all at the Intellectual Property Summit 2026. The summit is very close to my heart, not just professionally but personally too, because it's represent a continuity of journey for spreading an awareness in the field of intellectual property right, and specifically as a strategic business asset. We collaborated with the AMA as a firm, YJ Trivedi. The YJ Trivedi AMA Academy for Intellectual Property Right was founded with a very simple but a powerful vision to make the intellectual property understandable, accessible, and meaningful for the businesses, innovators, and the society at large. This initiative reflects our family's long-standing commitment to the intellectual property, starting from my grandfather, carried forward by my father, and now something I consider both responsibility and a privilege to nurture it further. Supporting this academy is not sponsoring for us. It is a continuation of a legacy and the belief that awareness of intellectual property, it strengthens the entrepreneurship, innovation, and national growth. This is 19th Intellectual Property Summit. We are hosting through the Ahmedabad Management Association, which itself speaks about the consistency and the commitment what we carry for the awareness of intellectual property right. And obviously, when I say we, is the AMA and the YJ Trivedi both. Over the years, we have seen the IP evolve from being a legal, technically, to become a boardroom conversation, and now it is very clear, a core business asset, specifically for the young entrepreneurs and the startup. Today, intellectual property is not just a protection, it has become a business valuation game. Not just compliance, but competitive advantage to the enterprise and organizations. Not just a piece of ownership, a paper of ownership, but monetization, partnership, and a long-term brand strengthening for the enterprises. So the business that recognize the intellectual property early trend, which scales the faster, attract investment more, rather easily, and build lasting reputation. That's what the reason I was talking about the IP first, which we are coming up, is that we wish the every enterprise to come up and learn that the intellectual property is the first step which you should take when you are onto the journey of an entrepreneurship. So this year, as a part of our activity at the AMA, YJ Trivedi AMA Academy for the Intellectual Property Rights, we have curated two extremely relevant sessions. One, focusing on a future-ready businesses, ownership of intellectual property and technology leadership. And the second, exploring how brands, reputations, and intellectual property protection directly influence the business valuation. For the addressing on the same, we are privileged to have an outstanding lineup of industry leaders, legal experts from the in-house, academic voices, who will share the practical insights from the real experience from the field. For the same, I thanks to each one of you for coming all the way from Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi. So thank you very much. I take a liberty to thank to my friend Harpreet, who's to moderate, Nirubhai from IPR, for accepting our invitation to be a part of and playing the role to moderate the legends who will be speaking soon about the intellectual property importance. Obviously, not missing the all participants, academic representations. I may miss, or I may skip rather intentionally to name the any institute, because every law institute and every tech institute have come forward to support this cause. So thank you all the institutes who are remaining in the hall and have been supportive to all the time to the initiative at the YJ Trivedi AMA Academy for Intellectual Property Right. At the closing, if I have to say one takeaway, I would say intellectual property is not merely a legal rights, because it's been since my early stage around 25 years back, I've been hearing that the intellectual property is something very expansive or something connected to the law. And so as I keep this in my mind all the time when I'm addressing it to the audience, that intellectual property is not merely a legal rights. In fact, in a recent trend, is a business multiplier. So intellectual property at the early stage, will help you in a valuation game, which young generation is intent to play nowadays, or rather forced to play sooner. The earlier we recognize it, the stronger our businesses encash the innovation, and economy becomes more flourishing towards your enterprise. So thank you all for being here and obviously have been a part of the journey. Who many faces I see that they are regular to the summit as well. So I wish you all an insightful, engaging discussion with the experts here. So thank you very much. Thanks Darshi, and thanks Team AMA as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohal sir. Thank you, Jatin sir. Before we carry forward this momentum into our first panel discussion, may I respectfully request all panelists and distinguished speakers to join us on stage for a quick group photograph. The future truly belongs to those who own their ideas. Our opening session, Future Ready Businesses Win on Ownership, will explore how IP and technology together will shape the next decade. Guiding this dialogue is Dr. Nirav Jamnapara, an accomplished scientist and technology transfer leader whose expertise bridges science and innovation. Having extensive experience in mentoring researchers and fostering impactful collaborations across industry and academia. May I request Mr. Radia sir to please join me on stage and to felicitate Dr. Nirav Jamnapara sir. With that, I warmly invite and request Dr. Nirav sir to graciously lead the session ahead and extend a heartfelt felicitation and welcome to our respected panelists.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, AMA and YJ Trivedi AMA Academy for Intellectual Property for holding this Intellectual Property Summit 2026. It is a pleasure for me to attend this, and especially as a moderator, because as I was discussing in the afternoon, I have been always a curious kid, trying to understand technologies, trying to understand different forums. So it will be my opportunity to have a candid conversation with the panelists today. And I would just like to, before we proceed, I would like to introduce the panelists. Sri Rajiv Malik, he's a legal leader from LG Electronics India with a manufacturing facility in Noida. He's a LLB, ICSR, cyber laws expert, arbitration and commercial disputes experts, as well as intellectual property expert, and is referred as General Counsel for the Year, Consumer, Thought Leader, Artificial Intelligence Lawyer, and Generative AI, IMA. Too many things, right? Thank you. Thank you. We have Ms. Sandhya Vasudevan with us. She is an accomplished board leader, innovation catalyst, and ecosystem builder, focused on driving sustainable growth through technology inclusion and robust governance. And she has 37 plus years of leading transformation, digital scale, multi-jurisdictional governance at Deutsche Bank, Thomson Reuters. Am I spelling it right? Okay, thank you. AXA and TVS Group. Board and governance, she has wide experience as an independent director for TTK Prestige and several other big companies. I would like to cut it short. Yeah. Ecosystem, she has very, very vast experience on ecosystem and startup building, which is also very much relevant to our session right now. She has FinTech chair as TIE Bangalore, an active investor mentor supporting founders in AI sustainability as well as FinTech. She also has a lot of experience in policy and impact, and she is a board member and professor at ASIA, and she also shares advisory roles with CSIR Labs and impactful contributions to social venture partners and Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital. Welcome, ma'am, to this thing. We have with us Dr. Hemang Shah, a very accomplished technocrat, I would say researcher as well as turned into director of the Applied Materials Business Development Wing. And Hemang leads the Government Affairs Charter for Applied Materials India. In this role, he focuses on strategic partnerships with government and external partners, including association, trade bodies, academia. Hemang has several years of intellectual property strategy, startup incubation, IoT, AI, and various other programs, and has R&D systems engineering experience as well. So what he shares with me today is he has background experience on reactive ion etching and a plasma domain, so which is a common domain for me too. And his work has resulted in 10 patents granted, several publications. Prior to joining Applied, Hemang has worked for Qualcomm, both in San Diego and India. He holds a PhD in electrical engineering from Drexel University, USA. Welcome, Hemang. So now coming to the topic, can we have a live conversation rather than you can interrupt and you can ask questions, no problem. First we'll have views. I'll share my thought process on the theme today, and then we'll have short views from the panelists, and then probably we can go into more detail of interactive sessions. So the session today is Future Ready Businesses Win on Ownership. As we all know, this is the time zone when it's the rise of technology. Basically, I had been communicating and conversing with one of the venture capitalists, and we had been discussing and found that the highest innovations are made when in times of uncertainty, in times of the need of security, when the geopolitical conditions are not well, these are the times when the technology-driven enterprises come to get a big opportunity. So what we feel is this is a absolute ripe time for deep tech and tech-based innovations, which we are witnessing in the country. Most of these tech-based businesses are driven by high energy demand because of AI, because of power, because of population, because of gadgets, everything. Also, that these are because of the domestic security and geopolitics. Apart from that, the need of long and healthy life is inevitable. So that is also one of an important area which is not left out. So technology is coming out in medtech domain. Sara bhai, Mohol bhai has been into this, I just learned. So this is the reason why this summit gives an insight about various aspects of how intellectual property can become the next moat of your enterprise. May I know how many of you are students? Can raise hands? Okay, so, oh, likewise. Okay, so I would like to have a request starting from Sandhya ma'am, sitting at the center of the panel, that how do you foresee the need of intellectual property, and this basically this session, how does it help in terms of for the students as well as for businesses, right?
Okay. Thank you. The reason we are laughing is I said, let me go last. And he put me first. In the early 2000s, I was working in Thomson Reuters. And one of the things that happened was we created products from either New York or India or different parts of the world. And everything we created was, the IP was registered in Geneva for tax reasons. And we paid pretty low taxes as a company. 11%, which is not too bad, is public domain. And the main thing was we registered all our IP there. I didn't particularly understand why that was happening, but it was definitely an important element that shaped me. And a few years later in Thomson Reuters, one of the things that happened was I took on a strategy role in addition to some of my other jobs. I was at a conference, and there were folks from Hong Kong, US, Europe. They were in India to buy IP. That's when it hit me, the commercial value of IP is significant. So if you look at it in the last few years, 90% of the market value of leading global companies comes from intangible assets. So Mr. Sarabhai was talking about the funders wanting tangible assets, but the real value is coming from intangible assets. If you want to take a guess, the number is anything between 75 to 80 trillion. And we're only 4 trillion in GDP. So that's the size of an annual intangible asset that's getting created. So is this a compliance activity or is it a strategy? If you look at US, 40% of the GDP comes from companies which have very strong IP. That's a fascinating number, 40%. What does that mean for India? You're looking at a very large number there. If you look at China, it's a geopolitical strategy. They have 14,000 IP officers tackling their numbers. It's like a machine. Just watch their entire space. It's fascinating. Europe doesn't have size, but they are the creative leaders when it comes to IP. They have very interesting types of IP which is out there. Likewise, even Japan. So if you watch that, it's fascinating. In Asia, which is the think tank I'm part of, one of the things that we attempted to do was try and build a a quantum index using IP across the world. It was fascinating. We found the largest number of IP was coming from companies like Samsung and LG, and I was just telling Rajiv that, because you're using that technology for a whole lot of things. And if you look at their companies, massive commercial value that differentiates them. So where does India stand in this? A few years ago, I think we were told that IP-led creation is going to be an important element of our growth strategy. Over 1 lakh applications are being filed on on an annual basis. It's a growth thing. But the saddest part, we have over 2 lakh startups. The percentage of IP coming from them is very, very few, and we have a problem. If you ask them, I've been part of the startup ecosystem. When I asked them, why are you not registering the IP? They said, oh, people will copy us. The unintended consequence of this is somebody is going to turn around and say, you copied us, therefore your revenue is ours. So therefore, like it or not, in this world, it's important to document if you have something different, if it's something that's going to be creating value for you. If you don't do it, somebody is going to say, that's mine. And if they prove that, we will lose. So it's not a nice thing to have, it's an essential requirement as we go forward in business. We have fantastic use cases from India. If you look at TCS or Infosys, it's institutional IP. That's what they've been creating. If you look at our academic institutions, lots of IP, but no commercialization, or very little commercialization. And that's a risk to the country, because a lot of effort goes in, but we've not turned it into the value that it can create. Pharma, we've had examples where stories are really good. ISRO has also created a lot of IP. I don't know the exact numbers. Somebody was telling me it's over 300 with the companies that work with them. Now, I don't know, I haven't verified the data. So if somebody can find it, good for you. I haven't done that. But I think for me, the field of AI and quantum, the numbers they're talking by 2040 can be anything between 850 billion to 2 trillion numbers, commercial value, which means we need to get our stake in the ground right now to make that happen. And that's on the quantum side. AI, I'm not even going to put the number because you can get it from the latest conference that's happening. You're hearing all kinds of numbers out there. It is essential that we put our interests up there and take it forward. Otherwise, somebody else is going to claim what you have done, or we will lose what we're doing. A few things. You have the innovation. You've registered your IP, make sure you get the monetization, build on that, and get more money so that you can build the next round of what you need to build. So what does this mean for the various stakeholders? You could be a board, large company. I'm on one of the boards, TTK Prestige. Many people know about their cookers. Mr. Jagannathan, who came up with the gasket 50 years ago, he said it has to be free because I want safety for people who use this. That's a value system. And if you look at the Indian IPR, it does come with that value. It should be inclusive. But yet, in today's world, you cannot afford to do that. Now, if I look at it, we need to think of it in terms of the founders. What do they need to do to get on top of that? Many of them come from universities. They have the IP, but they haven't commercialized. Can we help them? Because you have a lot of lawyers in here. Can we make them aware what is possible, including in creative economy? Creative economy documents your in-depth knowledge, which has been there for centuries. If we don't do it, tomorrow somebody is going to take that. Your Kolhapuri chappals is a classic case. We need to document every one of them. We probably need, I don't know how much the number is today. It's probably around a couple of thousands, but we need to get all of it documented as quickly as possible before the knowledge is lost. It is important for the future. Policymakers, Personally, the policy makers need to link it to long-term R&D, patient capital, patient entrepreneurship. Because you're not going to get results tomorrow. Some of it may take a couple of years, some of it may take decades. The PsiQuanta, which will be one of the most exciting quantum computers, which is likely to cross the threshold, the Q day as it were, in 27 or 28, has spent 25 years of research. They've got tons of IP, just go check them out. And in the recent couple of years, they got almost $1.5 billion between AUKUS and DARPA. So the money available, if it's really cutting edge, is massive. So if you're in this field, push for the commercial value that's possible. Don't assume, I'm very much for open source, but document it and make sure that open source is for us, not left somewhere for someone else to claim it.
So my next question is with Malik sir. So how do you deal with the infringement in the digital marketplace? Just share thoughts.
You want to say the digital marketplace? Right?
Yeah, how do you deal with infringement in the digital marketplace?
Thanks for this question, because these days we are, first of all, the views are my personal note of the company, right? And second thing, the question you are asking is a massive challenge for us, because you name it, whether it is in Amazon or Flipkart, Big Basket, Blinkit, everywhere you will not never know that the counterfeit goods are there on it, right? In fact, some of the products of the reputed brand also are there. And for example, and especially the small accessories parts are there, which are very difficult to trap. So these are the things which we are having. So what online platforms and what the manufacturers are doing, we are having tie-up with them. We are tying up with the transparency programs, where we having the special QR codes, so that we can actually jump on the conclusion by the customer that its product is a genuine. So although it's very tough, and it is an ongoing issue, so we don't come to any solution as of right now.
Okay. And with the rise in the deep tech domain now, obvious AI included, not included, how would you advise regarding the timing of the IP? Because deep tech is 10 years, 15 years of gestation period. So suppose somebody comes up with an electronics product or something, a novel waterless washing machine, let us say, right? So that may take some time, right? And how do you think one should, because there are students here, they would, or some of them may be entrepreneurs also, so how should they plan out to make their innovation secure while having, because the patenting time is 20 years and other these things are also limited. So
there are a lot of answers to it. I don't have solutions to it, to be very frank, right? For example, don't patent it, keep it a trade secret then, right? That is the one solution, right? And for example, we are always talking about the scaling of the business, but here the topic right now is IP as a business asset. But while and so I am very critical of it, and it's an irony, and I am very blunt about it also, that the boards are not discussing about the IP as a asset, right? They are talking about how much inventory is being generated, kitne numbers aa rahe hain, what is the financial, what is the revenue, ledgers pe kya aayega. But we are all talking about these things. We are not talking about actual IP. Or IP kya hai? IP is basically all the business process. It is happening in the human minds, right? So that thing is not being processed. Even for example, I am talking the trade secrets. That is even the customer information, vendor information, supplier information, every and the processes also are having the different kind of IPs are there, which we are not able to protect it. And another thing, for example, I can give you one example. That company A is also manufacturing mobiles, company B is also manufacturing mobiles. They're also doing the same kind of things, and they're counting in numbers. Ki 1 minute make mobile is already out. But the kind of innovation and technology is going, and the process is being followed. That is company B. If company B is doing better, that will survive in a longer run, right? So while talking about the deep tech and the innovation and the AI, I still believe it is a controversial part, that who owns the first of all the AI output, right? And also the data on which we being trained is also not sure that who owns that. So it is a very gray area. I don't know why you are asking all these questions to me only, not to other panelists.
I'll come to Dr. Hema. Yeah. Thank you. So pulling that AI string here, because in India softwares are per se not patentable. How do you think somebody should go about securing their AI, and what are the pros and cons you foresee?
Yeah. Hi. So first, I have to tell that I'm not very well versed on the pure software side of things, although I've worked on it. What I can share is my observations by working with deep tech startups that have developed, let's say, edge AI solutions. Okay, meaning they made devices where a lot of the compute was done on the device, the intelligence resided there. And my feedback to them generally was that you have to look at at what enables you, right? So even if, let's say, India as a country doesn't allow you to patent, but what is your market? You have to think from IP as an asset, overview, right? So is my market just one country, or is it multiple countries, or is it the entire globe? And wherever I get my chance of protection the most of the asset, I'm going to go for it. Now that comes, of course, the trade-off over there is going to be the cost and all, which is, again, any asset worthwhile requires that kind of an investment. So that's one way to go about it. The other, from a personal experience that I've seen, is it's much easier, and I think even your edge can be better if there's a combination of hardware plus software. So if you have a processor, if you have a device, if you have sensors which are gathering a bunch of data, you're focusing your intelligence not on just on a generic algorithm, but to solve a very specific need. Like, for example, in your domain, like you'll have a lot of sensors which are going to be checking how a plasma is generated, what kind of strength of ions you want.
Correct.
And previously the setting used to be that, okay, here's one setting which I use and that's all you get. But now you have the ability to make fine-tune adjustments.
Okay.
And to me, all those are problems, but problems also means opportunity.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question is, since you have been into this experimental research domain, suppose you are developing a product which may come out at say 7 years, 8 years down the line, and then product, whatever gets developed, is evolved in phases, right? Two questions: whether we should keep on patenting on the transformation of each step milestone, or we should focus on process and product patent separately, consequently, or parallelly, whatever.
Like, I'll share what I've practiced in a personal capacity, which is the former, which is you always, because you don't know what the end state looks like.
Yeah.
Like, it's much easier to look at hindsight and say, hey, I should have only patented these certain things, or I should have only released this particular version of the product. That's all like driving, by looking in the rear view. Right?
Yeah.
But as you are developing that product, you don't have that luxury. But what you do have is a good sense of what your customer wants. And your customer can be an external customer, it can be an internal customer. So always be mindful of that. What is going to help them? The other way that I've always, especially when it comes to patents, right? To me, it's a mathematical problem. It's one of the ways to solve a problem. And any math problem can be solved by n number of ways. So to maximize my confidence, I look at what are the other alternates which are there. How expensive are they? How difficult are they? And if I have the confidence that the approach which I have zeroed in on gives me the edge for a much longer amount of time, that's the one that I would prioritize. And by the way, that's the one that also makes sense for your product. So I don't separate out those two. I think you have to look at them like, and again, this is a very serious evaluation that has to be done like on an ongoing basis.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to open the conversations for any questions from audience. Yeah.
So many questions.
You can have.
My question is it audible? Yeah. My question is especially to Sandhya ma'am. In India, we don't have IP or any kind of valuation put on the balance sheet. What Mr. Sarabhai said also makes sense, that if I have it on my balance sheet, maybe the financial institutions, especially for startups, would be more active in giving loans. So do you think we should push for that to be put on the balance sheet on the asset sides and not just in the notes below?
I'd say yes. Because I'll give you an example. In Thomson Reuters, we used to have the products which we'll sell to, let's say, an investment bank. And you'll have a lot of the offshore entities. They'll take one license and 200 people will use it. Serious revenue leakage. International jurisdictions enabled us to actually enforce the licensing practice. So India needs to follow something like that. We should get the change done.
There was, yeah.
Good evening, sir. My question is from Mr. Rajiv Malik. So, sir, I am doing my dissertation on software patenting, and I want to know from you that should India allow software patenting, as with the new CRI guidelines, India is pushing for software patents, and we are working on the draft of software patenting. But I want to know that you are also well versed with the AI part as well. So when AI comes in the software system, or AI comes in the computer programming, so should we go for the patenting of a software, or should we stick to the copyright regime, which says that a software can be protected as a literary work? So what are your views on this, sir?
Again, tough question. I think this is a special. Anyways, good question. I still believe that it depends upon the perspective only. That what is the best option you are having. A copyright, of course, you are getting it because you are developing it. But after coming of the AI, it's very difficult, right? Everybody is having the AI, and I always believe that in future, it is a new thing I am telling you, that in future there will be a model collapse, because there is no new data is being generated in the world. Everybody is using the AI. I don't think even in the one of the audiences anybody exception is there that who is not using AI. Every chat is, or every software, every material is being developed by the AI, and further it will happen that the AI is basically taking the data, and no new data is coming to the AI. So what will happen, right? It's a very difficult situation it will come. So it depends whether you want to go for a patent or copyright. Of course, protection is there, and then yes, you can take, and I think you can answer it better.
Thank you. So this was a discussion I had with one of the startup founders, and this is well before the AI wave that we are working with right now. And this particular founder actually got his code registered at the copyright office. And I asked him, since the time you registered, you filed for the registration, from that to today, what does your code look like? He's like, it's completely different. Right? So, and that's the reality. So you have to think of, okay, sure, you can have various options, but and today, if you look at how developers are working, that code is, previously it used to change, let's say, every week. Now it changes every multiple times a day. So, I mean, you have to look at, okay, what is my outcome that I want? Okay, you can get that registration, but what value does that give you? And
ROI aayegi ki nahi aayegi, that is the thing.
Anyone? So no questions means everyone understood.
Sir, what sort of challenges are artificial intelligence creating for identification of IPs for a startup? So, for example, if a startup wants to select whether this is a trademark or a copyright, then what sort of challenges do they face due to the involvement of AI in creating work?
So I'd like to throw some light on this. So basically, plagiarism is something. What I'd just like to explain you what I understood from your question is that somebody wants to go for copyright or trademark or something else. How does AI generated information?
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
How one does check whether that's an AI generated or not?
Yes.
Right. So there are plagiarism softwares available, just like deepfake videos hai. If you want to make an assessment, there are tools which make an assessment of whether this is an AI content. Like similarly, we have in plagiarism report, no, we have the percentage which comes. So likewise, there is AI generated content can also be catched. Even today in the schools also, the teachers are well capable. So I think softwares would be much more capable to do that.
Actually, technology is the answer to the technology, right? Because you have to use the advanced AI to check the AI whether it's a infringement or not. And just what are your views on that? The AI output should be copyrighted or what?
So I was sort of on the point where if a startup wants to select what sort of intellectual property they can go for, let's say I am a software developer, then what sort of IP should I target? Should I target it as a copyright? Should I target it as a trade secret? Or should I go for a patent? What sort of rights do I have?
Okay, you're coming to the same question then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a loop.
It's
Right
still a
question,
maze,
actually.
right?
You can just get it. Yeah, he has something to say.
Yeah.
No, we are discussing that, and I just thought of changing the gear slightly, right? In the AI wave that we are seeing, I just think the usage has exploded significantly since I think COVID timeframes when we first got Chat GPT to now how it's working, right? And I guess show of hands, how many of you have used either one of these AI LLMs, right? Which is Chat GPT, it could be Gemini, it could be Grok. Everyone is using it. I wanted to kind of throw the opportunity that we are seeing as a country, particularly on the semiconductor side of things. Okay, and at the same time, we are we are going through the India Semiconductor Mission, which has launched at least 10 approved projects, but more is coming. And wanted to prime you with why, and then that can hopefully inspire the next set of questions. Now, AI, if you look at it right now, anytime you do a query, the query goes to a server. You are seeing a lot of data servers which are being launched, both in the country as well as around the world. The challenge for them is on multiple folds, right? One is where are they getting the compute for that? And you can see a reason why we need more and more fabs. And it's a great opportunity for the country to create and provide these compute solutions, to provide the chips on which all these AI queries can be run. The other interesting part also is that there is a huge energy demand that they are placing. And if you extrapolate, like if the rate at which we are growing right now, in about 5 to 7 years' time, there won't be enough electricity that can enable all of our AI use cases. Which means we'll have to generate, of course, alternate forms of energy. So you have a wave on renewable energy that we are seeing. But even more so, from the semicon side of the things, it's posing a challenge that could you create devices that consume lesser power? Right now, the semiconductor world is probably, I mean, my eldest son's chemistry exams were yesterday, and he hates that topic, right? But he has to go through that periodic table, right? And I'm sure you all have, either you liked it or not, but you know what a periodic table is. Right now, the world uses anywhere from roughly 50 to 60% of the elements in that periodic table. And that is not enough for us because the power, the kind of performance that we need, the number of pictures you're taking on this, the videos you're watching is never enough for all of us. If this lasts for a day, you want it to last for 2 days, right? So our usage is tremendous. So there is opportunity on the material science side of things also, that could you create new material sets? So what I'm I guess trying to convey is on a variety of fronts, whether you're on the manufacturing side, whether you're on the research side, whether you're on the user or a programmer side, you have IP opportunities which are being created. And I think that's also where you need to, pay attention on that. What is a problem worth solving that if I protect as an asset today, it's going to generate tremendous value for me, like 5 years, 7 years down the line.
Let me add a couple of things. For many companies, your strategy was your differentiator. Today, you get a pretty decent high-level strategy with even a simple chat GPT set of queries. Your differentiator there for that business is going to be how you execute it, what are the products, solutions, and your institutional knowledge in making that happen. So your secret sauce of traditional strategy is no longer your differentiator. And we found that in a board meeting last week. It was hilarious because they said, oh, we have to do a bit of research, we'll come back next quarter. I said, no, let's just sit for 10 minutes and finish it off. And that's, it was kind of, they looked at it very differently. Hemang spoke about the energy requirement. I won't mention the name of the company. A quantum computer company which uses annealing technology. It's not the gating technology which is of the future. Annealing technology which exists today for optimization solution. Their supremacy tests, if you look at the frontier computer, which is using the traditional supercomputer, could take 1 million years with 1 year of Earth's energy, can solve the problem in 20 minutes with 1,200 kilowatts. So if you're going in for transformational innovation, there is value. If you're doing incremental, your past approach on software development, maybe things have changed already.
And for the startups and also it's very important that to encash this IP very early at the moment. So if you are having doubts, so do consult the lawyers, right? IP attorney. That's very a very early stage, because if you are not able to value it right now, then that it's lost forever actually. Right, because of when any takeover is there, an merger acquisition is there, or when you need the value that has to be created at this moment only.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Hemang. So from Qualcomm to Applied Materials, you must have worked with the semiconductor as it is, right? So the Semiconductor Integrated Circuit Layout Design Act, which was enabled in 2000 to 2026 when we are talking about IP. So what is your personal experience and how many such applications have been registered, protected and valued?
So yeah, thank you for that question. And again, it's a personal response and experience. In all these years, never did that. Yeah. Because again, you have to look at what is the value of the asset and how is it going to be. One is it's an asset, so you want to commercialize it. It's far easier to license out your IP, right, and thereby generate revenue, or in terms of enforcement, right. And the more complicated the circuits are, I think the layout is like, at least for really advanced chips, it's very difficult to get to that layout part, even from a litigation perspective. So even in all my experience, both working with startups or working, I can't name the corporations, never come across a use case like that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, am I audible? Yeah. Okay. So I have probably a question for anybody from the panel, and it's on because the session says that we have to be future ready with our businesses. So my question is that is IP ready for AI, or do we have to make AI ready for IP? What are your concluding remarks on this? How do we go ahead?
So I must say one thing, that nobody is ready for this kind of AI. The transformation that is happening these days, right? It's not good for us, not good for IP, right? But still we have to use it as a tool, right?
So AI, we had been discussing about the horrifying possibilities that AI may bring up, possibly replacing also, apart from the good things that AI can do multi times more work, good work, better work. Now the concern is, when we say, suppose we train the AI for not infringing, right? So in that case, there has to be a central board, or like we have a central SEBI, we have a board, right? Central authority which does this kind of regulation or control whether the AI language algorithm has an embedded non-infringement algorithm included, right? Patch has been given or not. In that case, it is fine. Otherwise, it's like cryptocurrency, right? Beyond control. So, trying to control what they do not believe in, right? AI does not believe in any control because they are autonomous. So, we need to have something of a board or a regulatory body which globally compiles something into single and provides a certification that yes, this AI is permitted. Right? But then in that case, even that AI has to have an association with some human being, because IP is something very human. It cannot be, Gopi Ben always says that. So like photograph of by a monkey, right? That was a classic example she illustrates. So I was just thinking while I was listening to this conversation that somebody as an astronaut goes out in the space, he invents something. Which jurisdiction would it fall? Right.
And just to add one thing here, because I have recently seen one cartoon in a newspaper where an AI is talking to a human being. Why are you so worrying about me? Why are you have so much fears about me? When God has created you, God have never have such fears, right? So it's like the same things.
Nice, very nice.
How many of you listen to Yuval Harari? I see one or two hands. There's one very interesting thing that came out during the time of the World Economic Forum. He's spoken on AI and humanities. I haven't checked it out. Please do check it out. He says AI has a name for the human beings. He says they are the watchers. So if you think of it, honestly, I think future is not only AI. There are other spaces where transformation is happening and we're not really looking at it. And the potential is huge there.
Any more questions? Yeah, Jatin bhai, thank you. Yeah, okay. Yes, Jatin bhai.
So, Sandhya, we were talking about
Sure. Thank you. Yes.
the business, as we see that the business has been evolved from the conventional way of manufacturing or trading to a tech or innovation driven businesses, right? So as we saw that our generation probably is that we have saw the importance of the intellectual property at the level of businesses and manufacturing and even the trading in other places. I would like to ask you and take this opportunity because you three are from the different domains. How do you see the intellectual property is coming on the center of business? More particularly could be from three different angles. One is from the ownership perspective. Second is the investor perspective, because nowadays the valuation is the game. And third, obviously, the competitive, like the global, because the businesses which were used to be in the part of the certain zone of the country has took a wings, and they are existing all over part of the world. So that's something which we need to look at from three different angles and decide that how the importance, and again I'm going back to the question which I said, is that how the important center has been taken by the intellectual property. What are your views on these three?
I just want to say from the manufacturing perspective,
Sure.
I have given the example that company and company can only differentiate only if they value the IP. Right, having the ownership basically means having the strategic control over all the processes you are having inbuilt in. So all the innovations which have been, in fact, you have to tap the human minds also, because when the human brain is there, the employees are going. You have to create a culture where the IP remains with the company. So IP is an important thing. Although today it is ignored, but I don't foresee it कि future में भी ignore होता रहेगा. It is very important concept and it has to be valued at the right stage.
So, yeah, in at least in my domain, IP is at the forefront. Like it's a critical part of every company. Whether they express it or not is a different matter, but it's all centered around it. So one is the challenges that you are looking from a product perspective, and those challenges naturally require innovative solutions, and hence there is IP creation. And once there is IP creation, there is a tremendous race again, which is how much ownership you want. Because the domain is such that, I mean, the loose analogy is in a pharma drug, maybe 3 or 4 patents could actually cover the entire drug. But in a deep tech domain, thousands of patents are also not enough. So there's always that rush to create that greater share of ownership. And the third part, which is, again, this is a way you're always trying to get a leg up against your competition, because your customers, even after, let's say, meeting the customers' demands, like for the time being, it's not the end game. There's always a future demand, which creates, again, it's a cycle, it's a virtuous cycle which keeps on happening. So IP is a core business asset, and I think so as a country, we are thinking of Make in India. I think this is where we have to change the lens also, that for Make in India to be successful or more successful, you have to have more of Invent in India. I think.
So my point of suggesting this was when I referred to ownership, probably, Hemang, is that, more particularly in Gujarat, we are contributing the highest in pharma, right? As we all know, the number speaks. But what are we into is more into the job manufacturing, right? So my point is that IP ownership is that there is an alternate of a business growth of licensing through a well-exist patent, right?
Yes.
But instead of that, focusing on R&D and making the intellectual property on the center of your business, probably that is an added advantage when you are, like, it gives you more leverage. That's my thoughts into the business.
Jatin bhai, fully correct. And I've spoken with many companies, even companies that don't have a licensing outfit. Like, what is your challenge? And many of them have tried and not persisted. Not just limited to companies, even universities which have thought of starting a tech transfer office. They don't have patience. So they think that, okay, in a couple of years, there'll be returns. But this domain is not like that, right? The business development takes time. Getting deals done takes time. And if it's a solo person entity, that person is doing marketing, legal, outreach, everything, right? So where's the time and bandwidth to help that person be successful? So what it requires is carving out some space for it, allocating it, and giving it a decade minimum.
Let me just add a few perspectives. Partly it's philosophical. Intellectual property, we try to put it into boxes for business. But the reality is, if you look at the full patient R&D, patient capital life cycle, you start with research. Some of that research may be primary research, and honestly, again, I'll use the example from quantum. the kind of primary research that's happening, you have no clue as to what the outcomes, commercial outcomes are going to be. If we do not invest in that, we'll be followers. As a country, we can't afford that. The only thing you can do there is publish papers at best, partly to protect you. Second element is, if you've found a commercial use for it, what is the kind of research you need for engineering solutions which are commercially viable around that? The concept is there, but the commercial research can take anything up to 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The third element around that is, once you've got the commercial solution, you then choose to see, do I take it forward as a startup? Do you have the capital to take it forward? And then, do you know how to go to market and then sell it? So that's a commercial part of it. But there's going to be a whole lot of spaces where you may want to register the IP, but you may not want to take forward the commercial element. I don't know how we as a society go forward with that, because the traditional IP approach has come from the West, which is protect, take from somebody, protect. That's a mindset. That's not the traditional mindset that even our original lawmakers thought of. They wanted it to be used in a far more open source manner. So I'm honestly conflicted around how that is. But if I look at, say, for example, Citi had put out a fantastic report on the future of quantum, deep tech stuff. Fantastic one, because where does the money go? I usually follow the money trail. So IP is also following the money trail to a great extent. So as you said, the investor, who's the business owner, and what is going to be the larger impact around that, I would say we are at that cusp of transformation. People in this room are the ones who are going to be shaping the future on how we want to take it forward for the country.
Thank you. Jatin bhai, the question that you have asked is right. The IP has always been at the center of business and will always remain. In one of my conversations with one of the vice chancellors of SP University, he was sharing his interaction with one of the UK vice chancellors of UK University. He said that that time, long time, maybe 10, 15 years back, he says India is largely an agro-based industry, agro-based country. So you have large amount of, and you have manufacturing, but those are non-IP. UK makes jet engines. You sell lot of agriculture produce, but you get wafer thin. So future is going to be knowledge-driven economy. If it is a knowledge-driven economy, naturally there has to be a protection. Recognize this is my knowledge. This is inevitable. IP as an asset, as a business strategy, as a business sword, it is not only going to act as a shield against the competitors, but it is also going to act as a revenue generation sword, right? Provided you know how to use it. म्यान करके रखेंगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा. So we need to make the public aware, because what my interaction with industry is that we Indian industry, we focus on incremental change. That मेरा cost कैसे कम होगा, मेरे product का maintenance कैसे कम होगा. So it's a very incremental change. We do not think of disruptive. यार एकदम नया कुछ सोचते हैं. Nobody wants to pay attention. What she rightly said is that IP का valuation balance sheet में होगा, तभी उसके ऊपर ध्यान दिया जाएगा. So it's a very valid point, and I think there are ways in which we can collectively make this as a front force so that we can fight on a global platform. Thank you. So should we end this session, because we are already done with 5 minutes over? Thank you very much. Thank you, moderator. Yeah, just one point. Mr. Rajiv Malik would like to give a point.
So as we are talking about the IP as an asset and IP as a valuation, and it should be on the ledger. So I am just trying to say in a poetic manner, right? So where the title of the poem is Where Value Truly Lies. So where value truly lives, actually. We build with brick, we build with steel, we measure what the hands can feel. Yet somewhere silent and softly spun, the truest treasures are never seen by anyone. An idea born in a moment's spark, a thought that lingers after dark, a name that gathered trust with time, a quiet design, precise, sublime. These are not lines on a ledger page, not noisy claims upon a stage. They sit in patience, they grow in grace, they shape a future we cannot replace. For what we choose to value today will choose our victory tomorrow's way. If we treat ideas as passing air, they vanish light as whispered prayer. But if we guard them, guide them, grow them, they gather strength where markets know them. Intellectual property is not pride alone, not paper filed, not rights we own. It is a vision given careful form, a steady light in change and storm. Scale may scatter wide and far, but strategy knows where the treasures are. And when the word moves fast and free, the leaders will not merely be the biggest voice, the boldest claim, but those who understand the unseen flame. For the greatest wealth we ever start is born in mind and guarded in heart, is born in mind and guarded in heart. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
And another note for this, that I do have taken the help of AI in that, but copyright is mine. So I am claiming the copyright and IPR of this, right?
Okay, thank you, panelists. Thank you very much.
We'll take a quick.
Yeah.
We extend our sincere thanks to our distinguished speakers and to Dr. Nirav for moderating the first panel so thoughtfully, and the discussion was thought-provoking. That perspective sets the perfect stage for our next address. Our second session focuses on protecting what sets your business apart, brands, reputation, and business value. It is rightly said that every great conversation needs a steady hand. And to take this dialogue further, it is my privilege to introduce Mr. Harpreet Singh Banker, a distinguished advocate and an Indian patent agent. Mr. Banker's expertise spans the full spectrum of intellectual property law. May I also request Mr. Padman Booth sir to come forward and felicitate Mr. Banker sir. I warmly invite the panel and Mr. Banker. And Mr. Banker, I request you to extend a heartfelt felicitation and welcome to our respected panelists.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank AMA and YJ Trivedi Institute for Intellectual Property on the 19th summit on the 19th day of February. What a coincidence. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to panel 2 of the Intellectual Property Summit. Our theme for this session is protecting what sets your business apart. In a world where products can be copied and technology moves fast, the only thing that a competitor can not easily steal is your brand and your reputation. Today we are going to discuss how our IP is a secret sauce that turns a good business into a valuable global asset. I am joined by two of the finest legal IP minds in the country to explore this. On my right is Sarita Joglekar ma'am. It's an absolute pleasure to introduce a true veteran of the legal world, Miss Sarita Joglekar. With over 30 years of experience, Sarita has been at the center of India's intellectual property evolution. She began her career in one of the oldest and most respected IP law firms in the country, deepening. Since then, she has moved into the corporate world to lead the IP strategies for some of India's largest and most successful business groups. Earlier in her career, she proved her expertise by securing exclusive marketing rights from Wockhardt Limited during a critical time when India was just beginning to adopt new patent laws, a feat very few of us were able to achieve. I am also from the field, so I can definitely say that. She later went on to lead the central IP team for Aditya Birla Group before moving to her current role as VP Legal Chief IP Counsel at Reliance Industries. Today, she and her team are responsible for protecting of world-famous brands like Jio, Mumbai Indians, Hamleys, and Campa-Cola. To give you an idea of the scale she manages, her team handles over 15,000 trademarks globally, all handled in-house. Her deep knowledge of how to build, defend, and grow a brand's reputation is exactly where she is to guide us our discussion today. Please join me in a warm welcome to Ms. Sita Joglekar. On my left, it's a pleasure now to introduce to a leader who brings over 33 years of experience in the legal and corporate world, Mr. Anubhav Kapoor, a Punjabi fellow. Anubhav currently serves as a General Counsel and Executive VP of the Motherson Group. His career is incredibly diverse, spanning across industries like IT, manufacturing, automotive, aerospace, and pharmas. He has a truly global academic background, having earned his master's in law from the University of Michigan and an MBA in finance and IT. Throughout his career, he has worked with some of the most recognized names in the world, including Ford, Tata, Cummins, and Domino's Pizza. What makes Anubhav such a vital part of today's discussion is his deep expertise in handling complex business matters, from massive mergers and acquisition to high-level corporate governance. Massive mergers, I can say he was discussing with one of the fellow panelists to, merge something like that. Beyond the boardroom, he has a passionate interest in innovation and intellectual property initiatives. He is also a champion for social impact, having previously led global sustainability programs focused on the education of girls, promoting diversity and design thinking in the workplace. Today, he also serves as a member of the Legal Service Committee of CII. Please join me in welcoming a strategist who truly understands how innovation and law intersect to build global business values, Mr. Anubhav Kapoor. So, I would give the floor initially to Madam Sarita Joglekar. Her views on this topic today. I hope the topic doesn't float away to AI. That's what normally happens.
We'll make sure it doesn't go to AI. Before I start into the brands and what a brand is, I just want to ask you guys a question. When I say noodles made at home, what brand comes to you? Do you remember the controversy which happened few months ago or maybe a couple of years ago? Maggie withstood that. There was issues with FDA and a lot of other things, but still Maggie could not die. Maggie continued having it. That's the power of a brand. A brand is something which a consumer looks at. It's not something which is happening inside a factory or inside a product. It's a brand that a consumer, a non-technical person looks at and associates you with it. And therefore, it's extremely important for the company not only to protect their intellectual property in terms of patents or new innovations, but the brand, because brand is something which takes them to the end customer. When you talk about protecting a brand, there are ways of doing it which is very simple of registering it and protecting it. But beyond just registration, what you need to do is you need to be very active. You need to treat it as your property and stop any trespassing on it. Today I represent a brand called Geo, and trust me, when we launched it 10 years ago, I have had issues with people coming and copying Geo for anything and everything you name. You might have come across a lot of things which were duplicated on Geo. I had to spend a lot of time and energy going all across the country, stopping people from doing that, because while I am in only telecom, my goodwill and reputation extends beyond telecom. My goodwill and reputation extends to everyday life. So if you find somebody using, let's say, Geo Poha, you might, not because it's a Poha, but because there's Geo associated with it, you have a quality reference to the brand. And that's where the protection of a brand is extremely important. I think I'll stop here and we'll have more question answers so that we can answer your questions.
Your take, Anubhavji, on this topic today?
Since you already introduced me as a Punjabi bhai, so my take on the opening remark is that all roads lead to IP only, right? And let us examine it. It's a very common saying, right? All roads lead to Rome. But howsoever you discuss it and dissect it, everything would lead to IP. And I'll just allude what I'm trying to tell you a bit more. Like for Indian startups, we have, you know, the term unicorn, right? When the valuation reaches $1 billion, the startup is called as a unicorn. Every startup owner wants to be a unicorn, right? Because until it becomes unicorn, you are chasing people. After you become unicorn, people are chasing you, right? So therefore, it's a reversal. And that's the $1 billion handshake that happens, right? Now, let us get deeper into it, right? We have about, say, 100, 120 unicorns in the country, right? Which is a great thing, because previously the startup itself ecosystem was missing, but now at least the startup ecosystem has been actively thriving, and we also have now at least 3-digit unicorns. But out of the recent survey, out of the 117 unicorns that were surveyed, 100 did not have any patents. So the question that was posed to us today afternoon is protecting what sets your business apart. I can straight away say IP wow, but that is not the reality that we are seriously seeing. So what is the difference? What do you think is happening there? Right? They are protecting business, innovation in business models, right? Quick commerce, right? Your Blinkits of the world, your which are solving business problem, the Olas of the world, but they are not patenting. So why, you would wonder why that is happening, right? Now let us stop this little bit and get to the whole dream of Viksit Bharat, right? Now Viksit Bharat, India wants to be a developed country by 1947. Even if you see the charter of Viksit Bharat, IP plays one of the most crucial roles in making India a $1 trillion economy, right? And what it charter says is that we have to invest in IP, and IP will increase the value of the products that we produce in the country, and that will be a great facilitator and will become the exporters to the world, right? And there is a lot more to that. I'm just putting it in a simple way, but it emphasizes the whole need of investing in intellectual property to 1940 apna Viksit Bharat dream. Let us now come to the reality, right? The third picture. Aajkal picture mein picture chalti hai na, so I'm just giving you snapshots of what is happening, right? So what is the reality? Go to a startup who has just started the business. IP is not part of the first 5 priorities or 10 priorities he is doing on a day-to-day basis, right? He has other things to do. He's, as the previous panel said, he's the lawyer, he's the product manager, he's the guy who is billing, he's the marketing guy. He does not focus on IP, and comes in later. Now, and he puts all his energy in building the business, right? No problem, until then he is building the business. The moment he becomes a unicorn and he goes to sophisticated investors for money, the first question the investor asks is, show us the IP, show us your unique proposition, show us what is proprietary in your business model. That is where he gets hit with questions which he slept over, right? Because he said, मैं तो business बना रहा था, इसका तो time नहीं मिला मुझे. Then he runs to the IP lawyer. IP कहते हैं, अरे you had an opportunity for patent, but you are already put it in the market. Now as per patent law, you cannot patent it. तो आपके पास जो था, आपने तो पहले ही गवा दिया, तो अब क्या आ रहे हो मेरे पास, right? So he's lost that opportunity as a startup. Now that is where he suddenly realizes what my friend lawyer used to tell, please spend some money on IP, get the thing registered, and later when money chases you, you will be in a better spot. And that is where they struggle. That is the point when they have lost and their IP, they go to their lawyers and say, give me the solution. And of course, there are other solutions which are given, but something which could have been done at a lower price is now being done at a higher cost. That is the question of startups. For matured companies, India's businesses have seen unfathomed growth. The Indian businesses did not even foresee the growth that we are seeing now in international arenas, right? We all started small. Few years ago when the economy was small, we were only doing domestic business, but many of our businesses have grown overseas. Now, when we go overseas, names, patents, processes are much more vulnerable for being copied, much more vulnerable to be misused, much more vulnerable to be infringed. And that is where there is no choice for us to invest in IP and protect these brand names, patents, trade secrets. How we do it depends on business to business, but I think the value of IP and brands is equal for startups and matured businesses alike. So therefore, IP is not an option, it is the reality. Please invest in IP early in if you are starting, or please get a due diligence done on your IPs if you are a matured company, because one way or the other, you will have to invest in IP at some point in your journey. I'll stop here and wait for the other questions.
The best part about IP is that IP protects the vulnerable. So at even a small company, if it has a good portfolio of IP, it can take on the big giants also. So here I would like to ask Sarita ma'am, with 15,000 trademarks under your watch, how does a massive group like Reliance ensure that the reputation of the new brand like Jio is protected from day one?
So it's a combined effort of, I would say, 3 different teams within Reliance. The first one is the marketing team who's creating the value by, reaching out to public about the brand and creating the brand awareness. The second part is the legal team, which comes in to do the basic protection of the brand. And the third and most important part is the monitoring the market. So what we have is we call it SLP team internally, but it's basically a team which monitors the markets. Today, it's so common that people put themselves online. So there are certain websites like India Mart and Amazon and Meesho, and where people go and put up their brands, their products. We need to constantly, monitor them and check if somebody is doing. There are various ways of protecting IP. Not every time you can run to court. Sometimes just a notice serves, because I have come across in my career people saying that, oh, we thought it's allowed, so we tried to use your brand, or do something. So once you send a notice, they are made aware, they are aware of the consequences, and they stop. So my experiences of 100 notices I send, 50% of the time the people stop. Then there are second levels where around 25% you can send a second notice or file an opposition and they stop. And then there are some hard nuts where you need to go to the court. For example, right now I have a order from Delhi High Court where people have been using geo on food articles like pohas, makhanas, matchsticks, and they're selling it on all these websites which I mentioned. So I got an order from the court because my mark is recognized as a well-known mark. But that happened because all three of us worked together. So while the marketing did their job, we made sure that it's constantly protected and it's not been, trespassed by others. If I want to take example from old history of Indian textile, there are a couple of brands which the older generation might remember. There was a brand called Grasim Gwalior Suitings. Today it's not heard. It's one of the top brands when India was not an open market. But same thing happened. There were a lot of infringements. Nobody took care of it. It actually died down. It was a very good brand. Same thing had happened with Xerox. So typically people call photocopying Xerox. Xerox had to spend a lot of money and energy later on to get their mark protected. So for a brand to be protected, the steps doesn't start later on. You don't know. It's like a movie. You don't know whether it's going to be a Dhurandhar or a flop Mela. You need to decide on day one that I am going to protect. Maybe the protection would change depending on the market response to your brand.
So the take is that you have to include the cost of protecting your IP into your production cost. If it is done so, it is cheaper also and easier also. Now for Anubhav ji, you have handled many large businesses, deals and mergers. When a major group is looking to buy another company, how much weight is given to their IP, patents versus their physical buildings or machines?
I think their IP definitely is a consideration, yes. And IP due diligence is an important part of the deal evaluation. But it is one component of the many other factors that we consider, right? I think the foremost, that is the synergy with the existing business. If we believe that the value can be extracted from the business, it is what is number one. And then how we can extract the value then gets to the financials, the business model, the customers, the IP assets and things like that. But the most important question is the synergy with the business. And there I kind of want to also comment is that, see, the business value is constituted, yes, by numbers through tangible assets, buildings, machineries, plants, but there is also important consideration in terms of the intangibles, or what we call as the intellectual capital, right? Because among intangibles, intellectual capital is one of the most important component, which is not seen on a balance sheet, but is extremely important consideration while we do the M&As. Now, what does the intellectual capital constitute of? It constitutes of 3 or 4 major components. The first is the people, right? Invariably, we do due diligence on the culture and the people, right? Do we have the right set of people? Will the people continue? Will we have retention which will not affect the value of the company? Imagine you have taken over a company and next to the people who knew about the company have left. What will you do with that company, right? You can't run that company. The machines itself cannot run, right? So if people are the most important assets, that is one of the most important factors that we consider. Forget the M&A scenario, but even in a normal scenario, the biggest risk that we have is the know-how which the people have. And people are mobile assets. They come in and go out of the office every day, right? And many of the issues that we see in the market where products have been duplicated, technologies have been stolen, is because people have left and joined other organizations, right? And that is where they have started making same or similar products. And the problem comes if the company has not invested in adequate procedures, then there is no way you can stop these people from copying also. Now, what does that component include? So I always, apart from protecting the IP, I lay a overemphasis in terms of signing NDAs, the confidentiality clauses, right? There has to be a very strict culture and regime of getting these NDAs signed from not only employees, customers, suppliers, but also ensuring that your IP clauses and your intellectual capital protection clauses are watertight. Tomorrow, if people move from one organization to the other, they should not have the ability to take the know-how. They should not have the ability to steal your IP, right? That is the first thing which, apart from protection or prosecution of the trademarks and patents, this is again a very important cultural aspect to it. I've also seen companies who are valuing people and where the attrition rates are lower, the incidence of their IP being stolen is lower than people where there's a high rate of attrition. Because when people go there, move from one organization to other, there is a concept of residual knowledge, right? That is always taken. You can't protect it either through law or through agreements, right? But if you have watertight clauses, you can definitely protect it. The second component of intellectual capital is your know-how and technology. Now, know-how and technology can be protected through contractual arrangements with your suppliers and customers, right? And also your technical partners. So ensure that you are protecting your IP through technology and know-how through processes which are watertight. You have agreements which protect your know-how. And that also is also a money spinner, because if you have technology, if you have done it yourself, you can license out. And if you are buying technology, then you have to be sure what you are buying in, right? So both ways, licensing in and licensing out are extremely important in the success of an organization. The third is the IP layer, right? Once you have the bottom two layers and you are inventing and producing new ideas, you definitely need to protect. And like Sarita ma'am was saying, like your jewelry, like your diamonds, anything which is of value, if you do not protect, if you do not keep it polished, it will never shine, right? A uncut diamond is of lesser value than a polished diamond, right? Or similarly, you have to protect your jewelry. If you leave it loose, someone will take it, right? Similarly, in IP assets, you have to value those IP assets, protect them, make them shine, and then once you see the value through these processes, then those becomes your tokens of bargaining and monetization. So it's a whole process. People just focus on one of the things. क्या मैं patent कर लूँगा तो फिर licensing हो जाएगी? It is not one thing. It is the whole culture that goes behind protecting IP and then monetizing it. So therefore, as a strategy, we always suggest multi-pronged strategy in order to bring out the full value which will lead to monetization. And that's kind of the essence of what we also see in the M&A. In M&A, what we see is the future potential of the IPs also. Can that particular IP which is being used in a particular use form right now, can we cross-pollinate those innovations into other products? Can we produce other products? Will those be useful or we can create incremental improvements on those patents? I think those are other questions that we address while we do M&A situations, right? So I'll stop there, but we can deep dive into the IP due diligence area.
So Anubhavji has opened a new format that HR also is a very primary, IP. It cannot be ignored. Now I have a question for both of the panelists. In the age of social media, a brand reputation can be attacked in minutes. How has IP strategy changed to help companies defend their names in this fast-paced digital world? Sarita ma'am.
Extremely difficult question to answer, because while you have a group of people protecting it, there are millions of people out trying to malign your figure or something. So that is where your brand, that's where I took an example of Maggie. There was a lot of negative comments on social media, but still the brand sustained it. They did the corrective measures, but the brand sustained it. And that's what takes, if your brand values are strong, your customer base and customer goodwill is strong, loyalties are strong, you can survive even those negative comments on social media.
Anubhavji?
Yeah, no,
repeat.
no. I agree with Sarita. In fact, I remember you mentioned this word secret sauce, right? It's been ringing in my mind. Um, Many years ago, and I don't know how many of you in this room remember, किसान केचप की एक ऐड आती थी, उसमें ही टेस्टेड द केचप से इसमें तो कद्दू मिला है, remember? And it became extremely popular, right? Because the whole point was, in this one line, he said, this is my real sauce, right? This is what tomato sauce tastes like. It is not like the kaddu sauce that you get, right? And it was a big punch to the competitors as well. Similarly with IP, when you start monetizing it, you need to have the reality behind it, the authenticity. It should be foolproof, right? People can't pierce it. Now, what do we do as in-house counsel is, our portfolio is like a bucket, and people poke holes in that, and we are there to plug them all the time, right? Whether we do it through litigations or we do it through takedown agreements. Now, takedown is another area, because online maligning of the software has become so rampant, and it is so difficult to track it also. एक बंद करो तो दूसरा शुरू हो जाता है, and it is so easy for them to do it, and it is so difficult for us to close it. Right, so the law itself is now losing little balance there, and of course courts are helping us and supporting us with special orders where we can kind of go giving us blanket orders to stop these kind of abuses. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the whole environment is getting extremely challenging, right? And for us, protecting the IP from all the attacks that we get every day, whether it is a digital media, physical media, products, whether it is through branding, through brand confidence. There are so many aspects of the whole brand that is now coming, and many of them are related to our IP. So it is becoming extremely challenging for us, and we have to be alert, awake, and keep the eyeballs every day on the whole thing. I'm sure Sarita ji has electronic surveillance going on all the time on the apps, and there are agencies who do that now. It was something unheard of 10 years ago. So I think with technology, our challenges are growing, but the importance of IB is ever increasing now, right? So when you lose IP, it pains you a lot, right? I'm sure you heard of this famous story of when Rolls-Royce was being sold by Volkswagen. They took the entire brand but forgot to take the word Rolls-Royce, right? And later on, in spite of paying for 30 million, they could not use the word Rolls-Royce, because, and this was kind of the biggest mistake or foolishness have happened in the IP world. So just because the contract did not include that little word, because it was trademarked by some other company, they'll, even in spite of paying in a M&A situation, they could not use the word, and someone else then later came out with cars of Rolls-Royce. So read that story, that's a very interesting one, which will kind of give you how important protecting IP is and taking care of your assets is. And that involves a lot of effort by the in-house teams to not only make the portfolio, categorize them, protect them, ensure that all the brand, everything is renewed in time. If there are instances, we have to be on the watch, we take down actions. There is a lot of work which is involved, which just is important to keep our IP assets shining and valuable, right? So I think that's what IP professionals also are all about.
Anup, just to add to your Rolls-Royce, I would like to bring that Apple Watch is called Apple Watch and not iWatch because they couldn't get iWatch across the globe. So they
Correct.
moved it from iWatch because everything else is iPad, it's iPhone, but it's Apple Watch.
So the take is that companies now have to become detectives, and they go on hunting for infringers. Geo is the data provider, so it's very easy for Geo. So now I open the forum to take questions to any of the panelists.
Hello, sir. As you had said, that IP is becoming more important with the advent of technology.
This question is for whom?
It is open. But I was just addressing that since they had said that IP is getting more important with the advent of technology. I believe that, I guess the question is in the direction that since the objective of IP is having a monopoly over whatever you are protecting in that field, and more specifically in designs and patents, my question is how the proprietorship right of a technology IP is protected against other aspects of what the IP is meant to be for, which is promotion of innovation and trying to sustain competition while giving the proprietorship rights to someone. And to give some clarity on the question, it's more in relation to anti-repair practices and software locks and how oppressive post-sale control can be against consumers. So how can that be balanced?
See, one thing I'll tell you, IP laws and competition laws are counter to each other. When the government, the state grants you a monopoly to use and exploit it as you want, so you cannot say it was for the larger good. Even during the time of COVID, it was that patent was granted and they exploited it. So now your second question, I don't know, for whom should I put? Yeah, please.
So patent typically is a negative right. It's not a positive right. It's basically a right which allows you to stop others. And the whole philosophy of patent was because you have put in a lot of effort in developing your technology or furthering science, furthering business, you have been given that particular monopoly. So it is kind of a reward for your hard work, right? So therefore, when you're saying how does it come into the business or how does it affect business, it's kind of a reward given you, and therefore that monopoly is given. And therefore the competitors, if you don't protect it with a patent or some kind of an IP, maybe a copyright or some way, you are going to lose it because all your efforts, somebody is going to copy it and start working on it. I hope that answers your question.
Anubhavji?
No, he's already got his answer.
Yes, please. You had a question, sir? Yes.
Good evening, sir. My name is Tej. I am from Vadodara, Gujarat. I lead the legal team for Vasu Healthcare Private Limited. We have 1100 plus trademarks registered and 30 of are in all across the globe. We had also faced lots of infringement issues, and we had also win all those issues from litigations and all the courts and all those things. We have valued partner Vijay Trivedi and companies to help us out on doing this, and this is my 5th session. Anubhav sir, I have taken lots of notes from you and implemented those, and it was been very much valuable for us to implement and get the results. My question is, I don't have a question right now, but I want to share that one thing, that there is a thing in Google, the Google alerts. If we register the keyword and the class of the trademark, they will search each and every day 24/7 if anybody uses that mark, anybody across the globe in the information system. So the moment anybody uses it, we get an alert that somebody has used it, so we can protect our trademark and IP things. That's I want to share with you, sir.
Thank you for sharing, but I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Now you said
Counter
you
question.
had 1100 trademarks.
Yes, sir.
Right? What, in your opinion, is better, having one singular trademark and protecting it solidly across the globe, or having 1100 and then
Sir,
protecting all of
we
them?
have like 30 years, we are protecting next 30 years. If in case our company wants, we can use it in our balance sheet, we can sell those, we can assign to other people's. And protecting trademark in India is not a big cost. We have like cost savings. I had done like 1 crore plus Kaizens every year. So that Kaizen amount I use for getting new trademarks.
So one versus several. What is your take?
So one is good, but several are better for future.
Rather necessary.
Anubhav, that depends on the business.
Yeah.
That all depends on
Sir,
business.
we have-
I mean, you go in
we have
FMCG,
like-
one is not
Anubhavji
sufficient.
is looking for an acquisition. So he's just trying to value you.
I am comparing. See, Reliance invested in Jio, right? And they are operating in a very high tech market of providing the fiber or the connectivity, right? But they still stuck onto Jio, right? And every other offering that is being given by Reliance is under that single brand name,
one umbrella,
Jio,
sir.
right? And somehow I kind of always pendulum between this strategy, right? You have other companies who come with several trademarks, and somewhere the primary trademark loses its importance, right? So from a strategy point of view, I find Reliance strategy a bit better.
Sir,
He's
yes,
saying
it is
in-house
better.
mark. There should be one in-house mark,
Sir-
which is umbrella mark like Tata or Jio.
Sir, Vasu is our umbrella mark, and we have 90 medicines. Different medicines have different marks, and there are 60 plus cosmetic items. Every cosmetic items have different mark.
So you have differentiated products.
Yeah,
right?
yes,
Okay.
sir. There is one umbrella mark Vasu, which is registered across classes across the globe, and YJ Trivedi sir and the company.
You are in safe hands.
Yes, sir.
I can say
Yes, sir.
that.
But
Thank you,
just
sir.
to answer your question, what happens is when you have one brand and, for example, Jio, I have Telecom, I have, the marketplace, the Ajio, I have JioMart. One goodwill and reputation issue in one segment reaches out to the entire brand.
Oh.
So it's also, a dicey situation, because the moment if people have a bad experience, let's say with Telecom, they would say, oh, ये Telecom खराब है तो Mart भी Jio Mart भी खराब होगा.
So Sarita ma'am, it's a balance, right? There is no clear answer in terms of singular brand or multi-brand.
No.
It can depend on the products, right?
Yeah.
That's the basically.
There is
on
where
the
strategy
business.
comes. There is where you have to take a call whether one umbrella mark, like let's say about Nano, Tata ka alag mark and Nano is not there. Similarly, Maggie, she said, Maggie war time, it was saved by an Indian lady. I know that. I don't remember her name. She was brought back from the headquarters to serve again and to rebrand it, and she did it very successfully.
And
She was
Nestle
in
is a
Singapore.
global brand anyway. Yeah.
Nestle took a very big hit at that time. Yes. One thing I would say about valuation, just before I forget, there was a discussion in the last panel that valuations should be there in balance sheet. Now, my suggestion is just like that. We can have a notional value in our balance sheet, which may not be considered as an income or something like that, but there a rough idea can be given to others that this is the notional value of course, valuation is never perfect in IP.
True, but from an in-house counsel perspective, if there's no valuation, your budgets are quite squeezed. You don't get those budgets to protect it, so it's
You want the real value.
I want the real value.
Hello, good evening. Sir, we talked right now about unicorns in the beginning. Anubhav sir did talk. Sir, now India is generating and producing a lot of unicorns and deep tech startups. But then much of these core IP is still registered abroad. So much so that I think 17 out of the 100 in 2022 were registered overseas. So then are we really building future-ready businesses or future-ready exit points for global IP holders? Also then, what policy or mindset shift is most urgent regarding this problem? Maybe we need more faster patents or better incentives or a more awareness amongst the founders. What do you think, sir?
I think you answered your question. We need all of this, right? The whole problem with that whole Viksit Bharat vision is there are 3 or 4 fundamental problems that we are struggling with, right? One, in India, we are the consumers of technology. We are not the producers of technology, right? If you see the data, all these apps which are produced in America, we are the ones making them successful, right? Probably the largest user bases of WhatsApp, YouTube are here in India, right? And that is where they are making money. But have you ever asked a question why India cannot be the producer, right? And the answer basically lies that the industry isn't spending enough on R&D. We don't have R&D. The spend that is there in the R&D is kind of motivated by government incentives, but how many of those R&D that we are doing or the fundamental research that is getting converted into useful products and services, right? And also corporates are not spending the amount or percentages of their revenue on R&D unless it is like, now the trend is changing a bit, but that has been kind of not there in the past, right? That is one. Second, the awareness is not there, right? That is the second one. In Japan, they start teaching about IP and things like that right at the school level, right? For us now, we are pitching whether we can make them aware of IP at the engineering college level, right? And this is just started, right? Because engineers are the ones who will start producing things and who will start innovating. And if they don't know about IP, they will just end up giving their ideas for free, right? And that was a menace that was happening early days of startups. When people were not aware, you used to have those startup melas and people used to just give their ideas and someone would just take it and commercialize it because they were all business innovations ideas that were there, right? So, you already answered your question. So it is all of them that is the problem. And we need to focus on that. And the good part is we have started now improving. And there is a lot of activities that is going on to make that ecosystem work. And also nothing succeeds like success. The success that these unicorns are having is kind of motivating a lot of people to kind of see the value of IP as well. Now, your question was also focused on deep tech.
Yes.
Now, in deep tech, you have to build on IP early in the process, right? Yes. Because if you do not do that, you will never be able to. But there is a enigma of sorts there, right? Because the technology is moving so fast. While you are investing, you may not even get the value because the technology has moved to the next level. So there is a balance required in terms of what core IPs you should actually do, and you should not regret if you have not got the benefit of it, but at least you can't be complacent about it, right? Because you never know which technology becomes your core technology, and then of course in deep tech one patent will not yield you anything, but if you even don't have that one core patent, you will never be able to ring fence that patent and build the value out of if later that technology becomes successful, right? So it's a balance game which entrepreneurs have to take the risk while they are growing, and that is where it is. So I'll stop at that. Did you answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, just one more part to it. I think a lot of entrepreneurs also have this exit strategy based models for their startups per se.
Correct.
That they're built to get acquired. So then, when such a startup that is built to get acquired and they are already settled overseas, it becomes very easier, I think. But
if you don't have protected your IP, sell off becomes so difficult, right? They will give a discount if you don't have protected IP.
So last thing, what about the problem of, are we really focusing on brain drain while the problem of ownership drain is a more prevalent one in our country right now?
Already, please, Sarita, go ahead.
So IP is not something except for copyright. IP is only in the country where it is granted, especially if you're talking about patents. Even trademarks, yes, we have well-known trademarks and cross-border, but basically IP is protected in the country where it is granted. So there is nothing like a brain drain or a IP drain.
Territory.
You want to have a unit set in India, you need your protected IP in India. The other countries are good to have.
See, we have come a long way in IP protection. Previously, I remember when used to go to somebody and say trademarks કે આપણે કાંઈ એવી જરૂર નથી. આપણે આવા બધા પૈસા બગાડાય નહીં.
But I thought what she was indicating was that many of the people who go out from India are able to intellectually do more patent work, but people in India are not able to do it. Is that your question? Brain drain.
So, ma'am, that becomes a core problem of the government now. See, we cannot, see, how can the policies of government be changed? The government or the state is protecting the IP right now, and we have come a long way. You have to understand that IP, the biggest generator of IP in Western countries are the universities. It is not the corporate. The universities, we have seen a very recent example in Delhi about that, I don't want to name it, but it happened so. So what are we doing? Universities are just copying. Their universities are innovating. Even, let me tell you,
Correct.
this Facebook was the original thing was developed when he was a student. It is not, it was developed in the corporate world. So now I'll put one question to both of the panelists, because I cannot avoid this. For both of you, you are seeing a lot of talk about artificial intelligence, creating logos, design, and even code. From a legal standpoint, who owns that reputation if a machine created it? Is this something businesses should be worried about right now?
Well, that's a question where, if you ask me, my personal opinion is the code writer should own it. But that's
Code writer is AI.
No, the AI is not the one who created the software, who's not an AI, the human brain. Because for me, intellectual property would be created only by human brains. I'm from maybe the old generation.
So there, behind where we were talking about, that the taste maker.
Yeah.
Actually, in the end, the taste maker will come. The person, the human has to decide whether this goes to the market or it doesn't go to the market. It goes for a patent or whatever IP it is to be protected. Anubhav, sir?
See, I am of a mixed opinion right now, right? So this is who owns it. If you go from a pure legalistic point of view, I agree with Sarita, right? But that's not how I see the future. That is the problem. I get conflicted there, right? Because this latest releases of Anthropic Claude AI, where they have put plugins in the LLMs, and they plugins can now not only reason but also operate in a context environment. So, and to simplify, what I'm trying to tell you is that a traditional chat GPT was fed with information which was a year old, right? So, but when you queried it, it never had a context to it. It never had a reasoning to it, right? So therefore, it created issues like hallucination, it created redundancies, it created biases, because at the end of it, chat GPT would only react to the information it has been trained on. Right? Now with this new releases that have come, which is actually called the whole stock markets, IT stocks across the world have slumped down, is because it has opened a new possibility where not only the IP, the AI can reason, but it can test its own result, right? And also it can improve itself, right? And on top of it, it can also give you a plan to implement the best way possible, right? Now that's already there, and it has happened in a window of less than 3 months. Last release of ChatGPT was almost 3 months ago, and in 3 months we are leapfrogging ahead into this kind of an Anthropic Claude co-work, right, that is coming. So if you see the pace at which the technology is going, right, it will create redundancies in lot of your IP laws itself, right? When the inventions are happening purely by the use of IP and or music is being created by IP, how can you ignore the fact that there is no human there, right? Now, of course, this is a huge subject of debate that's going on, and the jurisprudence is still being debated at various forums and across the courts in the world. But I think we are not ready to accept, right, at this point that this is a possibility in the near future. I think things will become much more clearer the day we start accepting that we have a AI who is our buddy here. And if you would have seen the latest notice that Google has given to all its employees, that please go if you can't adapt to AI, right? They have given an open offer to all the employees that their exit path is open if you're not ready to adopt AI, correct? That's the kind of extreme situations that, and it's a reality. I'm not like kind of telling you out of the blue. If you search the web, this is the notice Google has given to all its employees, right? So there is no doubt AI is going to come and hit us faster, and it is going to come sooner than we think it will come, right? And I am still not able to fathom what will be the impact of it in our lives, but I am sure it will be, right? So I'm conflicted on the second part. So maybe in the next year when I come again, I'll have a clear answer.
The level of AI can be imagined that the US military using AI could take out Venezuelan president. It is said that it is all because of a very advanced level of AI. Otherwise, it was not possible. Now, last question by Rajiv Malik, sir. Please, sir, you can say. Yes, it's not a question. It's just Acha, you want to add to something, please.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay now. Please. So I just want to add the third perspective. As Madam has said, the coder should get the benefit. You are still in dilemma, who should get the credit. So there are two perspectives of it. The coder, then the prompt, who is giving the prompt, and the third option is the AI itself, right? Now, आज तो हम कह रहे हैं कि AI hallucinate कर रहा है या biased है. Then when the AI will get the sentiment, then they will be tell the humans are biased against AI.
Correct.
Right. And then why I'm saying the third option is still possible. When an idol in a temple can file the writ petition, why not AI?
Why not AI?
Right. So that's a third perspective.
And that is a legal concept which is recognized by law.
Right.
But Rajiv, thank you for that additional perspective. Now, I was interacting with some of the young students in college, and they were graduating out of in computer science. In fact, they told me, sir, 3 months ago we were worried that we should be learning coding languages, but now I am not even looking at it. It is not my future. I will not get a job if I invest my time in learning coding, because it's already being done by machines. Already, if you see, a lot of tech companies are saying 60% of our, 70% of our coding is done by AI now, right? Which basically means the coders, there will be no conflict. There will be only coding done by machines and not humans. So where is the question of conflict, right? So I think it will get eliminated over a period of time, because no computer science student now wants to invest and learn a language of coding, because it will all be done by LLMs and machines, right? So it is a change that has taken change in the mindset of the future generation which is coming in, where, and it's a shift which has happened so quickly. So therefore, I'm not able to digest it fully, but this is the reality what students are telling me now, right? I don't need to learn coding language. And जब हम पढ़ रहे होते थे, the language was the core, right? In fact, that is why most of the IT stocks have come down, because 60% of their investment are encoders and people who are managing the softwares. And if that is not there, then what happens to the entire ecosystem? And also, when I was talking about the concept of acceptance, if you see Accenture CEO statement, he says we are planning manpower not in terms of how many headcounts now, in terms of headcounts and digital workers. So are we accepting that we have digital workers now? So I think it's a brave new world and we are all part of it.
So the Rajiv, insights from Rajiv Malik is a classic case of trespassing from panel 1 to panel 2. As we conclude this session, the message is clear. Whether you are a global giant or a growing business, your IP is the most valuable asset. It is a wall that protects your innovation and the bridge that builds trust with you, with your customers. Please join me in thanking Sarita Joglekar ji and Anubhav ji for their invaluable. Over to Darshi ji, vote of thanks.
Can I request you to join for a second?
Sure. Time हो गया?
So before we conclude the summit, can I request Mr. Parth Trivedi from AMA? Thank you so much, sir. It was a truly insightful session and we are taking a lot of questions as a takeaway to brainstorm it further. Thank you so much.
चल पार्थ आ जा यार.
जस्ट मैं एक तरह से बीच में आया हूँ. Just on a lighter note, I am only Trivedi जो not belong to the YJ Trivedi family, because from last 3 years I am coordinating from the AMA office, and जब speaker को पहले mail जाता है उसमें for the more contact you can contact Parth Trivedi, तो वो पूछते हैं कि आप YJ Trivedi में कितने सालों से काम कर रहे हैं. So, but I would like to give a special thank from the AMA. YJ त्रिवेदी सर हमारे साथ हैं, और जब इवेंट आईपी समिट प्लान होता है तो हमारे जो डिज़ाइनर है वो हर बार बोलते हैं कि सर आएंगे, आप उनका एक नेम प्लेट बना के रखिए. तो सर का एक गाइडेंस, ये पूरी आईपी एक तरह से ब्रिज जिसको हम बोल सकते हैं कि नेशनल लेवल पे या इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे जो ट्रेंड्स हैं उनको अहमदाबाद में हम एएमए के द्वारा कैसे गुजराती कम्युनिटी के साथ जोड़े, और एक तरह से सर का गाइडेंस हर साल हमको मिलता रहता है. तो 20 सालों से सर हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, तो वो एक हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा प्रिविलेज है. तो एक टोकन ऑफ एप्रिसिएशन जो माता की पचड़ी है उनसे मैं सर को ग्रीट करना चाहता हूँ. थैंक यू सर फॉर कंटिन्यूअस गाइडेंस एंड मेंटरशिप.
As we conclude today's summit, we are reminded that proactive IP management is the cornerstone of sustainable growth and market leadership. To bring this gathering to a dignified close, it is my privilege to invite Ms. Gopi Jatin Trivedi, Honorable Secretary of AMA and Senior Partner at YJ Trivedi and Company, a thought leader who has consistently championed the role of intellectual property in empowering businesses and innovators. I now request her to deliver the vote of thanks and bring the summit to a graceful consideration and conclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darshi, for the introduction. And I'm so privileged to deliver my vote of thanks in the presence of our respected YJ sir. Our sincere regards to him being present. So as we conclude the Intellectual Property Summit 2026, organized by Ahmedabad Management Association under the YJ Trivedi AMA Academy for Intellectual Property Rights as AMA Management Fest 2026. It's indeed my privilege. At the outset, firstly, our sincere gratitude to Mr. Mohal Sarabhai, Vice President AMA, for setting the tone with his warm and inspiring welcome address. He indeed reminded us his perspective of last year, being on the other side of the coin of the Patents Act, and this time being proactive at the same time. He also stressed on intellectual property as new capital, and this will, keep bringing our attention to. Indeed, thankful to Mr. Jatin Trivedi, Managing Partner, YJ Trivedi and Company, for delivering his powerful theme address. His continued commitment towards strengthening IP awareness for industry building as well as nation building reflects his vision translated into continuous action. To our both the panels, of heartfelt appreciation to firstly Dr. Hemang Shah for bringing valuable insights from the semiconductor and advanced manufacturing industry, which is sometimes very, very virtual, but he brought everything into reality. And thanks for your, strong comments. Next to Rajiv Malik, I'll start with this poem first. I really am in love with that poem. So indeed, you can see the kind of involvement, being a legal leader, but yet an IP person to bring the poem itself on the table. So he emphasized how large companies need more focus for the protection of IP generation, which is still lacking. So this will also be our next thought. Indeed, thanks to Ms. Sandhya Vasudevan, very sharp, focused and global thoughts. With having quantum physics, quantum computing coming up the next, which is of course going to be the backbone, as AI we all see as the front, but who is going to work on the backside? So she brought an amazing perspective. Thank you, ma'am, for the same. A special note of appreciation to our moderator, Dr. Neerav Jamnapara, for thoughtfully facilitating the entire conversation, seamlessly integrating the bright minds and being on the point. Thank you so much, Neerav. Then the next panel. Our sincere thanks to Mr. Anubhav Kapoor, how he kind of, made us think and vision about AI being a creator or not being a creator, the illusion and then the conclusion. So it was really very, not in a funny way, but at least in a hilarious way, he took us ahead. Very strong thoughts, of course, that the IP creation comes at the last layer. But which are the underlying layers? The intellectual capital, the confidentiality clauses, and then comes the IP creation, protection, and valuation. So thank you so much, Anubhav. Sarita ji, you brought the strong points of how vigilant you have to be, and our moderator really stressed that you have to be a IP creator, protector, or really be a vigilance officer. But you are really doing it, and you reflected your thoughts in a way that you're putting a lot of efforts to be vigilant across country and maybe globally, because the platforms which are very global and they may operate in any part of the world. So thank you so much for your, strong thoughts and heading such a, difficult or a strong portfolio, a responsible portfolio. Is, you have to be really, really mindful. It's not a fancy job. It's a very, very responsible job. So thank you for your all insights. Our dear friend, Harpreet ji, you really thoughtfully guided the discussion. You also had your own thoughts and which were really thought-provoking. Thank you for, again, seamlessly anchoring the entire panel. Appreciation to Ms. Darshi Makar for anchoring, navigating the entire event, dynamically put in the changes. So thank you so much, Darshi. Our audience, you were really engaging and very thoughtful. You prepared your questions well in advance. So I must say, good job done. The speakers have come all the way from different parts of the country. So you have kind of utilized them. So you were a wonderful audience. Together we all made this event a successful one. But we cannot forget the secretariat at AMA. Parth Bhai was, he made our, he gave his kind of words and respect to our respected Vijay sir. So thank you so much, the entire secretariat team. We thoroughly enjoyed the process, the late night discussions to, dynamic changes in the image and, social media updations and whatnot. As we conclude, one message stands very, very clear in respect of IPR. The intellectual property is not merely a legal safeguard. It's a strategic business asset that defines the competitiveness, credibility, and the future growth. Can't be ignored, like it or not, you have to have it at first hand. And a very small note from the side of AMA, Parth Bhai given a hint that all the speakers have been felicitated by a kind of a frame, which is a geographical indication and intellectual property rights by itself. So the AMA has got this designed by the Matani Pachedi GI protected artist, and I have made an attempt to, propagate the artisans upwards. So in and all, thank you so much. We'll see you again in the next IP Summit, if not earlier. Have a great evening. Thank you.